What's up, coaches? This is David, and today I want to talk to you about the digital revolution and how we can apply that to our coaching business and apply digital leverage as well. So I'm sure we all understand the idea of leverage, right? It was like once popularized by the great Naval in his little video and like podcasting on like how to get rich without getting lucky, right? And one of the first concepts that he talks about is the power of leverage, right? The power of leverage. And I specifically want to talk about, the power of digital leverage. So leverage pretty much means like asymmetrical input to output. So like the input could be like 1 and then the output could be like 20 or something like that. So a simple example of this is like labor usually is like a 1-to-1 type of input to output ratio, right? So it's like, it's not leverage. In that example, it's not leverage because you're not getting any like asymmetrical returns, right? But then like labor, so like a human with like a tool or like an equipment or something like that, then that output could be like 1 to like 20, for example, right? Like I'll take an example of like building a car with like a machine. Like a machine can output way more than like, a human can nowadays, especially, than like humans can, right? Doing the same work, right? So that's like the concept of leverage, right? And then Naval, he talks about like different kinds of leverages. So like labor is like the oldest form of leverage that we have. And it's not really leverage. It's just, you hire a bunch of laborers and then the input output is pretty much the same, right? It's like hire 5, get 5 output, right? And then the other kinds are like capital leverage, and he calls it like code and media leverage. I just like to call it digital leverage because that encompasses both code, both media, the digital world, like AI stuff, that encompasses a lot of this stuff, right? So that's just what I mean by digital leverage, okay? And so we're gonna like pinch in and then like double tap into like digital leverage stuff. So think about the Industrial Revolution. Think about the Industrial Revolution and how kind of like it gave us leverage in terms of like physical power and energy. So instead of like in the Industrial Revolution, we now replaced human labor with like equipments and machines pretty much to do a lot of the work that humans used to do. Right? And then it becomes a lot less, it was like more energy efficient, it was like cost effective, like it improved on so many damn levels, right? Once we included like, getting like machines and equipment to do most of the work for us, right? And then it would be kind of dumb if you actually didn't embrace using machines and tools, right? And then you kind of embrace like using humans instead. But how about now? Because we live in the digital revolution now. Okay? We live in the digital revolution where everything is on the internet. And in the same way how, with the Industrial Revolution, it replaced repeatable and monotonous tasks to machines, right? In the same way, a lot of the benefits of the internet is that it can replace a lot of the repeatable and monotonous tasks for us. That's a big benefit of having like the internet, pretty much, where we can have like servers do the work for us, right? But then I want you to like compare that to the business that you're running, the coaching business that we are running right now. A lot of times it's like we put in a lot of like monotonous, repeatable work and we're using labor instead of leverage. Like think about like a sales call, like a traditional Zoom sales call. It's like we're saying the same thing, saying the same shit, handling the same objections again and again. But then why aren't we scaling this? Why aren't we having, using the power of the internet to give us leverage? That has given us leverage. Why are we ignoring this power? You know what I mean? Either that or we're hiring other people to do it. Again, that's like, to me, this is just my perspective on this. To me, hiring other people, it's not leverage. It's like, again, you're like, when you hire 3 people It's like input 3, output 3. That's not the definition of leverage. It's like the equivalent of the Industrial Revolution, where you're hiring 3 people instead of like using machines and equipment that can do the work for those people, right? So you want to use leverage, not necessarily labor. The thing is this, like some things, like you want to have people, like you want to have a team, right? Like I believe like connection and keeping people accountable, that part, especially because our business revolves around that coaching, right? That part cannot be replaced through digital leverage. Like we still want connection, we still want accountability, right? That part you should still have, right? But a lot of times, especially like the sales and like the marketing part, I believe we can totally use leverage and use the power of the internet for that, okay? So that's one way how we can use and, you know, use leverage to our advantage, okay? And another thing I want to point out is when you're doing these like so-called sales calls, right? In my opinion, it's a very short-term skill. It's a very short-term skill, and then they have you like do like these sales. This is what I did. Like they do the sales calls, practice the sales calls with this freaking sales script, and then you know do a bunch of these sales calls, and then you freaking outsource that skill that you built up to another person, right? So not only is it short term, but then it costs you opportunity costs. Like you put in all this time and energy, like you're freaking hundreds of hours into a skill that you freaking outsource later on. And in a way, it becomes a replaceable skill too, right? It's easy to replace because you could just hire somebody else to do it. So is that a very valuable skill? In my opinion, it's not a very valuable skill. So here's the thing. I believe what's more of a valuable skill, and maybe I like to call it an endgame skill. Endgame skill is doing the marketing aspect, right? Creating attractive and magnetic content for others to see, and doing, you know, marketing it well. And not only that, but also like one-to-many type of selling, such as in like a workshop or like a webinar, right? I believe that webinar salesperson, and I don't know if it exists as like a freaking job term. I don't know if you can hire like a, you know, like a webinar salesperson, but I mean, that has a lot more leverage than one-on-one sales calls, I'll tell you that much. I believe that's more valuable. That's a more valuable skill because it's harder to find people to do your webinar for you, right? And not only that, but then if they are skilled and like, you know, pitching on these webinars, they cost a lot more. That tells you something, isn't it? Like usually it's like in the form of a partnership. So if like, I don't know, like you have an amazing product and then you wanted Russell Brunson to do the webinar for you, he's not gonna, you can't hire him like you can like a salesperson. He's gonna want like a partnership pretty much, right? And he pretty much would take like 50% of the cut, right? So I believe that the sales call, it's a very short-term skill, and not only is it short-term, but then it costs you an opportunity cost, which you can take that time and energy into developing a more, again, like long-term skill such as marketing, right? And here's the thing though, like with the salesperson, like how much do you usually pay? The salesperson, like on the high end would be like 20%, 25% even, if they're really good, right? And here's the thing. I have heard of many people who like sell stuff in a much leveraged way, doing like workshops or like webinar, that kind of stuff, right? I've heard several people make millions of dollars in a single day doing one-to-many selling. I have never heard of anybody doing millions a day doing one-on-one sales call. So isn't that telling you something? It's much more leverage, and in a way it could be faster than doing a freaking like, you know, one-on-one sales call. And again, these are just my opinions on this, but when you're on a one-on-one sales calls, it's more of like a taking mindset. You know, yeah, you might answer like some few questions in there, but then you're there pretty much to pitch the person. The sales closer, they're there to pretty much, you know, get their bag, right? And so they're like in a taker's position, like a taking mindset position, versus like a webinar or workshop. You're actually doing it so that you can actually, you know, add some valuable information before you even ask for the sale, right? Hey, you came onto the workshop, you know, let me provide you some good shit. Like, let me provide you with some, you know, things that you can take away even if you don't buy, right? So in a way, it's like a more like giving mindset. And then you're just, you know, asking or like inviting people at the end of that giving, right? So in a way, like, it just feels better, dude. Like it's like a two-way street. So that's just my my thoughts on doing that, right? So let's go back to, you know, the idea of, you know, using digital leverage and embracing the digital revolution. And a lot of times, it's the equivalent of going back to labor. You know, imagine like you have like this great business online, like a digital business, and then all of a sudden you tell your people, hey, okay, from now on we're gonna do door-to-door sales. You know what I mean? And people are gonna be like, what are you talking about? Door-to-door sales? And yes, it can work, right? It can work, and especially for some businesses, it can work, just like the one-on-one sales calls. It can work, but then again, it's like it's almost going backwards, dude. When you have like a digital presence, and you have like great marketing, and then you add a freaking sales call, it's like you place the bottleneck for no reason. It's like you're going backwards in leverage. You're going from one to many to like one to one again. It really doesn't make any logical sense to me. And that's like the epiphany I had in my past business, right? In my past business, it was so goddamn sales heavy. And it was like a single point of failure. I built my business on quicksand. It was a single point of failure because when I stopped doing the sales call, I stopped generating income. It's crazy, right? That's like a single point of failure, what we call in engineering, right? Versus when we embrace like a marketing-based business, it's like you have all these different parts, different marketing assets that are doing the work for you. And not only that, but then you're building assets, these marketing assets that will last a longer term than doing a one-on-one once sales call and then it freaking disappears. You don't have no assets to show for it, right? So the main point is let's embrace the power of the internet instead of ignoring it. Let's build assets. Let's use leverage, but that's one to many. And I believe that you can combine all of that. Think about combining all of those great benefits and then shifting to a much more leveraged, much more marketing emphasis and asset emphasized. And if you do all that, then freedom just comes as a natural byproduct because you have freed up so much time and energy by doing that, and then you can actually embrace and enjoy life, you know? So yeah, I think that's what I had. And if you are an established coach that, you know, vibe with this kind of philosophy of like enjoying a lifestyle-based business based on digital leverage and using the digital revolution, then I set up a free community. You can comment with the word digital revolution and I'll send you the link to the free community. It also comes with the free course, by the way. And I show you how to make the shift from like a very sales heavy, very unleveraged business to removing the calls and to embracing marketing instead. And that course took me a long time. So it's something I'm really proud of. And I know that you'll get some good value out of that. So if you want that, comment with the word digital revolution down below and I'll send you the link and I will see you inside the community. But that's all I had for this video. This is more like an off the cuff kind of rant, you know, on like the business model, the landscape that we are in today. And I believe that we can make the shift. And you just gotta, you know, you can't just remove the sales calls and then, you know, try to like, you know, make sales. It just doesn't work that way because I tried it and it did not work. you got to do it properly. And that's why I'm showing you how to do it properly inside of the community. But that's all I had for this one. Give the video a like and a sub if you like and enjoy, marketing content for your coaching business like this. And I'll talk to you in the next one.